Hello and welcome back to the Formula 1 chat. Today we're going to be talking about Oliver Bearman following his very impressive Grand Slam, clean sweep at Azerbaijan. Not quite the Grand Slam because I don't think he took first lap in the race, right? Disappointing. Could have been a Grand Slam as well as the clean sweep, but a clean sweep for Ollie Bearman. We're going to be talking about him, his prospects and his career so far. Should we start then where it all began for Oliver Bearman in karting, of course. Ollie, somewhat of a karting sensation, picked up many championships, including the Kart Masters British Grand Prix Honda Cadet. I love the names of some of these championships, by the way. The IAME Winter Cup X30 Junior. And then he went on to win the series, the whole series, the Euro Series for that, after the Winter Cup, and the international final of that, and then the senior series for that the year after. So dominated in that one specific karting series. But yeah, he was an impressive karter, showed a lot of promise. There was a lot of excitement around him back then, and he took the cars really, really well, of course. Dominated in Formula 4, if you take our minds back to just 2 years ago now, 3 years ago. 2021, of course, in the VAR team. He won both the ADAC F4 Championship and the Italian Formula 4 Championship. So he showed a lot of promise, didn't he?
Yeah, he was very good in those championships. And I think deservedly, the year after, got to push up to Formula 3.
Well, exactly that. And he was into the Prema team where... Do you think last season was a success for Ollie Bearman in Formula 3, or do you think he could have done a little more?
I mean, he got himself in one of the best teams. Prema, brilliant seat, brilliant opportunity. They've got history for being known as probably the quickest team in the feeder series of FIA.
Yeah.
Could he done more? Maybe, but realistically, he was going up against people that had been there for an extra year than him. You know, he went in his first year in Formula 4. He won it.
So he won he did a round. Oh no, sorry, he did do ADAC F4 and a little bit of Italian F4 the season before.
So it only took him 2 years to get out of F4,
which is what you tend to see.
And then he went into F3. Finished top half of the championship in that Prema, and now gone straight up to Formula 2. So it was back to back to back promotions up the series.
Yeah, he came into F4 quite young though as well, to be fair. But yeah, then I think last season was very impressive. Of course, at the start of the season he was only 16 years old, and when you're competing against Victor Martins, who was 21, that shows what an achievement Ollie was able to pull off last year. I think he proved to everyone that he's got a lot of talent, but I think a lot of people were left unconvinced because he had only got one feature race victory. But this season, so far in Formula 2,
in Formula 3 to pick up a feature race victory,
of course,
not bad at all.
Third place in the championship, 132 points. Only Zane Maloney and Victor Martins scored more, right?
I mean, the fact he outscored Isaac Hadjar, who was a front runner in that world.
Well, yeah, he just dominated the mid-pack. Though. He won the middle of the season. Yeah, exactly. He dominated around Belgium and Austria. Yeah. Austria is very strong for him. But yeah, so came into Formula 2 this season then, and he has been excellent so far.
I mean, he's already picked up 2 wins in his debut season.
Yeah, I think we'll start with the first round because it wasn't plain sailing, was it?
It wasn't.
But he could have done a lot more with those rounds.
He could have, and there was a couple of. I think you look at. I think the big one is probably Saudi Arabia. In Jeddah, he was right up there.
So nothing scored from the Bahrain weekend. If I remember rightly, he really struggled with tyre temperatures. I remember in the feature, obviously, he kept locking up, and I think Prema left him on the softs for way too long. They pitted him early and then left him on the. Was it the softs or super softs? I can't remember.
Softs.
Yeah, softs that he was on for the second half of his stint. They left him pitted too early and then he ruined his tyres at the end. But yeah, picking up no points there. Then Jeddah, a weekend that was so promising, obviously. He was right near the front of the pack for most of it. He was leading the race in Saudi Arabia when he had a spin. And that ultimately cost him in the feature race. He dropped through the order, ended up picking up just 1 point.
Yeah, but the sprint race, he got taken out by Teo Pourchaire.
Oh, of course, yeah.
At turn 1, which
he definitely could have
done anything about that. He
scored at least top 5, maybe a podium as well.
In that race, and then as you say in the feature, that kind of maybe rookie, that kind of young driver in him kind of came out with a costly spin at Saudi.
But we did see the same from Victor Martins though,
who is 5 years older.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. Bearman, at least they made the same mistakes at Saudi Arabia, then Australia, obviously, for Ollie Bearman wasn't much better. Only 2 points in the sprint, nothing in the feature. He had a rather uneventful Australian Grand Prix, if I remember correctly. I don't really have any recollection of him being involved in that.
Happened in Australia for me.
No, it's a really comfy win for Iwasa. And then Porsche, Leclerc rounding off the podium. It was a bit of a dry affair. But then obviously into Azerbaijan, a sprint race victory and the fastest lap, a feature race victory, and of course pole position. That was a big points haul. Huge. Big, 38 points.
He was absolutely brilliant.
40, I believe.
It was just one of those, and we've seen it a couple of times in Formula 1, we've seen it a couple of times in Formula 2, where one driver just manages to absolutely nail one circuit for a whole weekend, and they just completely dominate it. Nobody else is anywhere near them. It's a bit like, last year, Felipe Drugovich at Barcelona absolutely tore that weekend apart. When you take Max Verstappen to Zandvoort, no one's on his level.
Yeah.
It's one of those weekends for Ollie Bearman.
And it does just leave me, because he's only 15 points now off of the championship lead. Oh, sorry, no. 24 points. My maths was horrendous there. 24 points off the championship lead. That's one sprint race victory. Sorry, one feature race victory, which he could have claimed at Saudi Arabia. So it does just make me think, is Ollie Bearman in the title fight now?
Oh, yeah, of course. After 24 points behind. He's well in it.
Can you take momentum? Because next round, Imola, he raced there in F3 last season. He was up there at the front for a lot of it, wasn't he? And then he got shuffled down the order right at the end.
He has to be consistent, because Teo Pourchaire is one of those. He is either at the very top and 5 seconds ahead, or he's at the very bottom because he's crashed or put someone else in a wall. And looking at the drivers ahead of him, Frederick Vesti, he's there because he is consistent, but that doesn't mean he's quick. So if Bearman can outpace,
I think that's harsh on Frederick Vesti. I think Vesti's very quick.
He is quick, but I think Bearman's quicker, Pourchaire's quicker, Iwasa's quicker.
Vesti's also more experienced than Bearman, but Pourchaire, I mean, he should be waltzing the championship.
It's that consistency that Vesti's got to be second. So Bearman can definitely outperform him. And then Iwasa, he's so up and down because he was nowhere in Azerbaijan. But
he literally scored no points.
Australia.
No points scored, and then no points in the sprint at Melbourne, but 27 in the feature.
He's so up and down in that damn rocket ship.
Yeah, that does seem to be quite typical of both the Dams drivers, actually, because Arthur Leclerc has been rather consistent as well. Rubbish. Leclerc scored 20 points across the 2 rounds at Melbourne and 1 at Azerbaijan, so the rocket ship just wasn't working this weekend. If it is in future rounds, though, they can definitely pull something off. Imola next round, that's going to be a very driver-dependent circuit. I think it's not too much to do with the car there. It's a very difficult, very historic circuit, of course. So I think it relies more on driver performance. And then, of course, Monaco, which is the ultimate creme de la creme of driver performance. The car really can't have much impact at Monaco.
There's 2 big ones coming up that it's going to test, and this actually links very well to Bearman. Being a rookie, he wouldn't have driven either of these circuits in Formula.
Imola, they drove in F3 last year.
He wouldn't have drove Monaco in Formula 3 and he's only done one race at Imola. They are 2 very much circuits. Because of the nature of the track, they're very small. So not only is it about having the pace, but it's also having about, Monaco, you've got to be careful. You have to get it right because it's very fine margins. But at both circuits, you have to keep your wits about you, especially at the start. Other drivers, you've got some chaotic drivers on that Formula 2 grid. You just have to be aware of what's going on.
And of course, after that, we head to the circuit to Catalonia in Spain, where we saw Ollie Bearman was second in mid-season testing.
Yeah.
I think I'm pre and post there, but no, mid-season testing this week, he was second, only Jack Doohan on day 1. We haven't seen results posted for day 2 yet, as of the time of recording, or at least I haven't.
The thing for Oliver Bearman, I haven't either. The thing for Oliver Bearman is he has to push on from this weekend. He can't just let this Azerbaijan weekend be a one-hit wonder, one weekend wonder. He has to push on from it, get a good run of form going.
The thing that gives me confidence as a fan of Ollie is that if you look back at F3 last year, he really struggled to get going opening rounds. Picked up a few points here and there. But once he had those big point-scoring weekends after a couple of rounds, he started picking up podiums more consistently, and then obviously he finally got that feature race victory at Monza, right?
Yeah, I thought it was final race of the season.
No, he didn't win the final race of the season, did he? It must have been the round before.
Must have been the Monza sprint.
Yeah, but I think he won a feature race before then. But yeah, because he lost it due to he was in the championship fight going into that final race, and a red flag cost him any chance of going for it. And obviously they suspended the race early so they could get F2 and F1 out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But no, I think Bearman is a very capable driver. The problem is for him is would this season be too early to win it?
I don't think so.
He's only just turned 18 this year.
But if you win Formula 2, then you are good enough
But
to then
where
step up to
does he
Formula
go?
1.
Because Ferrari,
Well, this was going to be the
Ferrari
point.
Driver Academy, let's be honest, I don't think Ferrari would gamble on an 18-year-old. No matter how good he's been in the feeder series, that is a huge gamble to drop two very good drivers.
No, I don't think they drop either. It all depends on whether Charles Leclerc leaves. Because Ferrari don't have any options right now. They could look at Lando Norris, in which case there's a vacancy at McLaren, which
I think Ferrari
is a
more
possibility.
likely to tell one of their engine
But Ferrari don't have any sway anymore. They
Oh,
used
yeah.
to have a seat at Alfa
They gave up
Romeo.
next year, mate,
They got rid of that. Haas now are not really asked about Ferrari's drivers, so if they turn around and go, "Oh, can we give you Ollie Bearman?" They may say
But,
no.
I mean-
They may actually look at it and go, "Well, he's a quality driver."
Yeah.
K-Mag or
My thing with
Hulkenberg. Sorry, mate, you
Haas would
can't.
be also, we know Magnussen's under a lot of pressure at the moment, and I think Haas would go.
And he delivered. He actually delivered, didn't he? Last time out.
This is a real problem with. I feel so bad for all the up and coming rookies who look so quick.
The difference with
There's
Bearman is
only-
he's got time.
He has because he's only 18.
Yeah.
But then if he has to take a year out like Piastri did, he has to
Well,
take
maybe
a year
that'll be
out.
Haas's thing. Haas will give him a seat the year after once
Yeah.
K-Mag's contract expires.
But he just.
But then K-Mag might want to then just leave if he's going to...
But yeah,
be out
there's
the door.
only 20 seats on that F1 grid, and obviously they all want to make it, so you've got to make sure in the feeder series.
By 2026 we may have a couple more seats
Yeah,
because
we
we've got
might.
some potential teams joining, which I think will be good for the sport.
But that's obviously 2026 is too late for Bearman if he was to go on and win F2 the next 2 years.
Yeah, so Ollie Bearman realistically hoping that either Haas or Alfa Romeo will give him a shot. I think Alfa Romeo is more realistic right now. I think there's a good chance to get rid of Zhou. The only thing is if Porsche wins the championship and Bearman finishes second, Bearman stays in F2. If Bearman wins the championship over Porsche, though, surely Alfa Romeo go, "Well, sorry, Teo, but we've given you 3 years. You've still not won the championship. We're going to get the kid that's just beaten you to it."
Yeah, that would be my thing for Bearman. If he doesn't win it, obviously I think he has to stay until he does win it, because he will win it.
Yeah, the only problem for Ollie is if, well, who's in F3 this year that's really... The F3 grid this year is not stunning, so he should be safe from drivers coming through.
The problem is Williams. Williams saw Logan Sargent get P3 last year in the Formula 2 Championship.
Well, depends on what team you're in, doesn't it?
Exactly.
If
Because
it's
Ferrari are going to go.
if it's a Williams
third in the Formula 2
if it's the Williams team that has Latifi, then you're
They'll take
quite
third
lucky,
place
aren't
in
you?
the
But
feeder series. But
I do find it mental still that obviously Sargent got a seat while Felipe Drugovich, the championship winner, may never get a shot in
again, that
Formula 1.
comes down to what why Drugovich. Drugovich wasn't in the academy, but I guess that's just he didn't. That's from Felipe Drugovich was on that F2 grid for so long. He never proved anything.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a shock when.
But
he
where
did win
would
the
have
championship.
Drugovich gone other than Aston? Aston wanted a young driver.
If he had been
Makes
good,
sense.
that's what I'm saying. If he'd been good in the junior series, I'm sure Red Bull would have snapped him out. They've snapped him out of bloody everyone.
Yeah, and maybe he'd have had a seat rather than Nick de Vries,
Maybe.
who may be the topic of Monday's conversation, because there's a lot of talk around Nick de Vries, so that may be what we talk about on Monday.
I mean, yeah, if Bearman wasn't Ferrari, that'd probably be a good fit for him in that car.
Do you think Red Bull would buy him out? Well, do they have to buy out of academy
If-
contracts?
I don't know, but if Red Bull thought he was like going to be the next world champion, the next Max Verstappen,
Do you think Red Bull would? Because they've got Hadjar, they've got Iwasa, they've got Hauger.
my thing with Red Bull, and I know Bearman's FTA, but if he was to go.
If any team are going to go balls to the wall and
Yeah.
just go and take someone else's academy
The thing
driver,
with Red Bull is
it's
they
Hammer
don't usually with Max Verstappen now, they won't go for someone that they think will be a future world champion. You look at Yuki Tsunoda, Red Bull know he's never going to have the pace to win a world championship, but they know if he develops well, he'll have enough pace to challenge at the front and be a good second driver. I think the same for Iwasa. I think he's a quick driver, but for me, his maximum potential is fighting at the front, but not for a world championship.
I think Ferrari will want Bearman in F1 next year if he wins the championship.
100%.
So maybe they'll be able to convince Alfa Romeo to take him on.
Yeah.
Maybe is Bottas out of contract at the end of the year? There's a lot of drivers out of
Bottas or
contract. I'll have a
Sherman?
look. I think both, maybe. Potentially. Or maybe
say it's a
Bottas
bit
is
of a-
24. But yeah.
It plots to be Mercedes taking with Hamilton retiring. But
I don't think they'd put
There's
him
more chance
straight.
that Leclerc goes Merc and Bearman goes Ferrari.
Yeah, so Red Bull are fine, 28 and 24. Ferrari are 24 and 24.
Yeah.
So Bearman may be given a shot in the year after that. Or if Leclerc was to leave, of course. Lewis Hamilton at the end of this year. George Russell, multi-year, whatever that's supposed to mean. Ocon, 24. Gasly, multi-year. McLaren, 25 and 24.
Who's 23?
Bottas, multi-year. Zhou, 23.
What's multi-year though? Because multi-year could be the end of the season. Multi-year could be 5 years.
No, multi-years, no one has a clue. They just don't say. Fernando Alonso, multi-year. Lance Stroll, forever.
That's what it
Magnussen,
says.
no, it's unknown.
Unknown.
He's not got a contract, surely. Just
Stroll forever.
well, it is, isn't it? When's he gonna go?
He'll drive till he dies.
Haas multi-year, and 23 for Hulkenberg, so he's only got a year. Sonoda 23, De Vries multi-year, but on a knife edge at the moment.
That multi-year's not going to go.
Sargent 23, Alex Albon.
Would Williams take him in? They took on Albon when he was a Red Bull driver. Would they take on?
Would they have been off Sargent this quick? It depends on how he performs the rest of the year. But
Equally, so far, I know he's not been brilliant, but I think he's shown enough to keep the seat.
yeah,
He's
I think
got a Q2 three
for
times.
Haas, it's incredibly harsh to drop either K-Mag or the Hulk.
Depends how good Bearman is.
But yeah, of course, it depends how much Ferrari are paying them. Because if they're going to say, "Oh, we'll give you 20 million quid," Haas are going to go, "Well, bloody hell, then we'll stick his face on the side of the car if you want."
But we'll change your name to Ferrari. Ferrari second.
Ferrari V. Yeah, and then I think Alfa Romeo is the most realistic then. With Zhou Guanyu out of contract at the end of the year. I don't think he's really proven enough to warrant staying in F1 for another season. But there's still a long way to go in this
Long way to
season,
go this year. But so far, it's been a very good start for Bearman.
Yeah, if he keeps performing at the manner he is and wins his championship, then he's got to be shooting for an F1 seat, surely. But equally, the last two F2 champions haven't made it to F1. Who's the championship winner in 2020?
Piastri.
Who took a year out?
Yeah. So haven't gone no.
2019, Nick De Vries.
He went to Formula E.
But he is now in F1. So F2 champions do make it to F1 eventually. Just not at
Dragovic,
first.
don't worry.
Who's the year before Dragovic?
COVID.
But they still had a year. I think you might be wrong with the
Piastri.
20. Yeah, I was going to say 2020 F2. I can't remember who won it.
Piastri 21.
Mick Schumacher 2020 F2. Yeah.
So Piastri was 21 and
Dragovic 22. Bearman 23.
We'll
Confirmed. You've heard it here first. But yeah, that is all for today. If you've got any thoughts, keep the conversation going in the comments below. Do you think Ollie Bearman could be a future F1 World Champion? Can he win the F2 Championship this year? And which team do you see him with next year if he is to win the championship? And yeah, if you want to support the content we make, then hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, get involved in the comments. All of those sort of things help YouTube to know that you enjoy our content and push it out to more people. That's all from us today, though. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.